UFC 323 has arrived. It is the final pay-per-view on ESPN Plus pay-per-view, and it is the final pay-per-view of 2025. It's headlined by two title fights. Dvalishvili is defending his undisputed bantamweight title against a familiar face in Piotr Yan, the former 135-pound king and the flyweight champion. Alex Pantoja puts his title on the line, and this time it is against rising star Joshua Van. That is just the top two fights, but this UFC 323 card is spectacular. It features six active or former champions, the two at the top, as I mentioned, with Merab and Pantoja. Then you have Brandon Moreno, you have Jan Wachowicz, you have Henry Cejudo, Triple C. So this card really has it all, and I wanted to start with the opening fight of the main card, and that is Jan Wachowicz taking on Bogdan Guskov, who is on a multi-fight win streak, and this guy has won 4 straight fights. All 4 have come by finish in the first 2 rounds. But he faces his toughest test in Wachowicz, who, as I mentioned, is the former champion. And although he's 42 years old, he still has faced the toughest competition for many years. He's coming off a loss to Carter Solberg, has lost 2 straight, with his last victory coming against Alexander Rakic back in May of 2022. So the pride of Poland is looking to get back on track, and I think he will win this fight. I think he will get back on track against Guskov. Guskov is 9 years younger. He is such an exciting fighter on the rise in the 205-pound division, but I just favor Wachowicz's experience. I think he's the all-around better fighter. He's better on the ground, and although it doesn't show up that much on the stat sheet, only averages a little over 1 takedown per 15 minutes, I think if he's aggressive, when he gets his opponents to the ground, they likely don't last that long. He's the minus 115 favorite in this one. Moving on, the second fight of the main card, it's Triple C, Henry Cejudo taking on Peyton Talbot. Although Talbot doesn't have a number next to his name, he is a fascinating prospect in this bantamweight division. He enters this fight with the 4-1 record in the promotion, coming off of a unanimous decision win, an impressive victory, that is, at UFC 317 against Felipe Lima. And he's 10-1 with 8 finishes, and he is facing the best opponent of his young career by far. Henry Cejudo is 38 years old, and he's lost 3 straight fights, but he still is a former 2-division champion. He still is a former Olympic gold medalist. So he has that pedigree and he has that championship experience. But the reality is, we haven't seen the version of Henry Cejudo that won all those titles and got all those accomplishments in a long time. He hasn't won a fight in 5 years at this point, since he beat Dominic Cruz back in 2020. I think Peyton Talbot is going to win this fight. He's minus 250. I got him winning this one. I just think he's the bigger fighter, and I think he's a much better striker. And if he could use his 6-inch height advantage to his benefit, I think he will find a lot of success in this one, because I think Henry could struggle to get him to the ground because he is a much bigger fighter, and Henry has struggled against the taller guys as of late. So I think Peyton's going to win that one. Moving on, Brandon Moreno taking on Tatsuya Taira, who is coming off of a victory over Hansun Park back in August. He got revenge after losing to Brandon Royval back in October of 2024, and still only 26 years old. Taira has a 17-1 record, is a supremely talented fighter, a versatile fighter, can hurt opponents anywhere, but Brandon Moreno can say the same for himself. The former 2-time flyweight champion is coming off 2 straight victories over Emil Arbazi and Steve Ercek. coming back in March, a big victory for him. And Brandon Moreno, to me, is a little bit of a forgotten man at 125 pounds because he is a former champion and he is so talented everywhere. And he does such a good job with working all his skills into his game plan. And I just think with his quick pace, and if he can get off to a quick start like he has in recent times, I give him the edge in this one, and he is a underdog at plus 102. Tires the favorite at minus 122. Still very close by the odds, but I favor Brandon Moreno. I think he gets the job one in this. Moving on to the title fights, it's Alex Pantoja taking on Joshua Van. Van averages 8.86 significant strikes per minute, the most in UFC history. He is that good of a striker, and he's made that much of an impact in such a short time. He's only been in the UFC for a little over 2 years at this point. He's coming off of the biggest win of his career, one of the best fights of 2025 against Brandon Royval back in June at UFC 317. Was just a spectacular performance, and this was a performance that made him go from good young contender and prospect to a guy that earned a title shot. He landed over 200 significant strikes against Royval, and he is just a supremely talented fighter, and he has all the tools to defeat Alex Pantoja, but Pantoja is a different animal. This guy is on an incredible run. He's won 5 straight title fights, and his win streak is 8 right now. Hasn't lost a fight since 2020, and in that span, he continues to prove each time. And although he's 35 years old, like Merab, each time we see them out there, they refine their skills and they just continue to dominate the competition and prove that they are just levels above. And Alex Pantoja, although he's not the best striker, he is elite on the ground. And I think that's the difference in this one. Although the gap is wide on the feet, you could say the same thing on the ground for Pantoja in his favor. And that is why I think Pantoja is going to win this fight, because he has the experience, because he has the championship pedigree, and he has slown guys that are good on the feet down in the past, and I think he can do the same thing against Van. I think Van has all the talent in the world and has a bright future and has all the skills to beat Pantoja, but I just don't think that will happen in this one. Will I be shocked if Van wins? No, I will not. But I'm backing Pantoja to pick up his 6th title win and 5th defense at UFC 323 in the co-main event. Moving on to the main event, it's Merab Dvalishvili taking on Petr Yan in a rematch back from their fight back in March of 2023. He beat Petr Yan 50-45 on all 3 judges' scorecard, dominated him from start to finish. Merab landed 147 significant strikes in that one, almost double what Yan did, finished with 11 takedowns, over 6 minutes of control time, and since then he's gone 5-0. Yan has won 3 straight since their last fight, but I think Merab's gotten even better than Yan has since their last fight, and I just think this guy is on a different level, and I think there's a case to be made. He's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and he's the best fighter and has had the best year out of any fighter or champion in 2025, and he's looking and attempting to do something that no other fighter has ever done, and that's successfully defend your title 4 times in a single calendar year. Started back in January at UFC 311. He defended his title against Umar Nurmagomedov, then followed it up with another victory over Sean O'Malley back at UFC 316, and recently in October defended his title against Corey Sandhagen, beat him by unanimous decision at UFC 320. So he's looking to make history, become the first fighter with 4 title defenses in a single calendar year, but that's not all. If he wins this fight, he will tie TJ Dillashaw with 5 title wins, the most in bantamweight history. Also, if he wins this fight, he'll join Kamaru Usman with this and to tie him for the 2nd longest winning streak in UFC history behind Anderson Silva and Islam Makhachev, who have 16. He would join Usman with 15 straight wins. And he would also tie his friend Aljamain Sterling with the longest winning streak in bantamweight history. So a lot is at stake for Merab, and as much as I feel like he's already done this year, I think he has that much more hunger inside of him and that much more to prove because he's after history. He's trying to become and continue to cement his legacy as one of the best UFC champions in history. And I think he's going to do just that. And I think he is going to prove it once again against Petr Yan that he is just a step above. He's too strong. He's too skilled all around. His wrestling is too good. And that over 25 minutes, not just Petr Yan, but nobody is on his level. And I think he will dominate Petr Yan once again. That's why I'm taking him, not just to win this fight, but I think him taking Merab Dvalishvili minus 9.5. So to win by 10 points on all three judges' scorecards combined, I think is a great play as well. But all around, UFC 323 taking place on December 6th is a fantastic card. The final pay-per-view of the ESPN era is here. I can't wait. Comment down below your predictions. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I'm Ryan Wohl, and I'll see you next time.